Good morning. Thank you all for being here for our Philanthro-teen panel. I'm Tamsin Smith. I'm founder of a pro-social consultancy called SlipStreamStrategy, and I'm thrilled to be joined here today by three pioneers that are literally charting a new course for philanthropy with novel tools, dynamic strategies, and historic aspirations. And I don't think this panel could be more perfectly timed because we truly are, I believe, at a turning point for modern philanthropy. Never before have so many teens had the power, vision, and organizing skills to forge impact at such a scale. They yelp their opinions and insights, they generate and curate their own content, and they listen to each other above all. It's a big change and it's big news. Research from the UN Foundation, which has been pushing the envelope of teen engagement through campaigns like Nothing But Nets and Girl Up, tells us this: 79% of US girls donate goods, 75% give to charity, and 66% will ask friends and families to give or volunteer. 72% of families buy cause-connected products, and teens spent over $160 billion last year. This is a significant jump, and it's one that nonprofits, foundations, and private sector brands would be very wise to recognize, understand, and embrace. Today's teens are digital, they're global, they're highly engaged, and they're networked. They have a unique relationship to information and to the media. To interact with this generation, content networks and social networks are inventing fresh ways to stay relevant and responsive to the demands of these customers. And there's a lot that the corporate and philanthropic sector can learn from how they do it. So I'm really looking forward to some good audience questions today. We'll begin with each of the panelists making some remarks to give an overview of their work, and then I'll probably have a couple of questions and we'll open it up to the crowd. We're so lucky to have with us here today three individuals who are at the cutting edge of this highly personalized, impact-focused approach to social action. We'll hear first from Soo Jin, MTV correspondent, who traveled across the country to broadcast the stories of young people doing remarkable things. She's a tested and trusted expert in how to challenge and engage youth to create change. She'll share her insights into the zeitgeist of this generation, where it's leading them and the rest of us. And our second speaker will be Randi Zuckerberg. As Facebook marketing director, she sits at the center of how viral tools have become indispensable in the philanthropic space. Facebook's platform has transformed how young people across the globe communicate, activate, and inspire each other. I know there's a lot the rest of us can learn about how to best leverage the power of this engine for good, so I can't wait to hear her remarks. And finally, we're really honored to have Philanthro-teen Kaplan with us. She'll give us the straight scoop on what she's doing, why, and how. As a high school junior and teen advisor to the Girl Up campaign, Lily's organizing her family, her friends, and the broader community to improve the lives of some of the hardest to reach girls. In so doing, she's demonstrating what today's new leaders are thinking, making, and planning for all of the rest of us. So let's begin with Soo Jin.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I've been a news correspondent at MTV for over 10 years, covering everything from presidential elections and 9/11 and Haiti to Britney Spears' first pregnancy and P. Diddy name changes and Justin Timberlake going solo. I'm just thinking of the really big headlines that I've covered. So I've had the opportunity to be at a place where really I've kind of sat in the middle of this pop cultural dialogue for so many years, which is ironic because I'm a child of immigrants, parents who don't speak a lick of English, and wonder exactly what I'm doing here today. But so that's sort of the overview of what I do. And right now I'm as well working with a new creative sort of SWAT team, we like to call ourselves, called MTV Scratch within MTV. kind of a new way of doing business, leveraging all of MTV Network's sort of media platforms to kind of either help organizations or brands kind of reach millennials. So I've been working with them on creating a pro-social platform. So between the two, I sort of gravitate towards telling stories and reporting on stories about young people doing incredible things and making changes, and hopefully telling their stories in a way that's honest and you know, transparent. So that's sort of my role at MTV.
Great. So it's fun to sit with you because my last big project that the team worked on was actually a documentary look inside of Facebook on what nonprofits are doing on Facebook and Facebook stories. So, yeah, exactly. Not quite Justin Timberlake, but. Hi everyone, Randi Zuckerberg here. I lead the marketing team at Facebook, and I've now been at Facebook for 6 years, which is probably not that long in real world time, but at Facebook, I'm like the grandma of Facebook. Like I'm going around being like, back in the old days, like we used to do this. But when I joined, we were available at only a few select colleges around the country. Now we have 500 million people around the world. But I still remember kind of some of those aha moments early on when we really realized the power of the platform that we were creating. A few of those moments were around Hurricane Katrina, the Virginia Tech shootings, recently the earthquake in Haiti, and the 2008 presidential election. And what we saw were young people using technology in just such an inspiring and interesting way, which has really inspired everyone from local nonprofits to huge corporate organizations. Everything starts with young people and what they're doing. So I'm really excited to talk about that today.
Hi everyone, my name is Lily Kaplan and I'm a junior at a high school in San Francisco. I'm here today because I'm a teen advisor for Girl Up, which is a campaign for girls in developing countries to improve their living standards. I'm a teen advisor, which means that I'm one of 16 girls around the United States that is kind of an agent of change for them and reaches the girls in the United States and inspires them to get involved with the campaign. My mom, she's here in the audience, is the one who told me about Girl Up. And that's kind of how I initially was inspired by it. And then I took the initiative to go online, and I found out that I could apply for a position to be a teen advisor, and that's what I did, and I got it. And I've been a teen advisor for about 5 months now, and I really like it. So what I do is I started a club at my school, and I get girls involved within my school, not just involved, but really dedicated, and hopefully inspire them to branch out into their families and their communities, because we have girls all around the Bay Area, and that's what I do. And I use Facebook and MTV, I guess, to...
we paid her.
Yeah. I use Facebook and other social network sites to spread the word and kind of connect the dots for a lot of girls. So that's what I do. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So happy to be here.
Well, I think one of the things I'm sure Soo Jin can, as a broadcaster, attest to is that stories often bring things to life. And I wonder if we could just tell a couple stories, case studies from Facebook, stories of people that you met when you were traveling around the country for the Pepsi Refresh Challenge. You told me a great story about an app development that came out of a competition you guys ran. And then Lily, you know the stories of some of the other teen advisors. Maybe if we could go down the line and just sort of paint a picture for people of what's really happening out there. Make it real.
Okay. Let's see, I think a good example of something that MTV Scratch has done and I've worked on is the Pepsi Refresh campaign. I don't know if you guys know about it. Great. It was this huge, huge campaign, right? Over $1 million every month given away to individuals or organizations that got the most votes. Very simple. A lot of money, so as you can see, it can get complicated very quickly. So you have Pepsi, and then you have MTV as a media partner. also a huge, giant media corporation. So, you know, for us, I think the biggest challenge was trying to take this huge thing and make it extremely personal so that a young person who was 15, 16, 21 could feel that they, one, could enter very easily into the program, two, that it was authentic and real, that it wasn't just a bunch of like marketing BS to sell more soda cans and TV shows, and three, to really help them understand that the impact that they could have was real. And that's really hard to do when you've got such big brands or big organizations or companies trying to market or tell their story to young people who are smarter and often more cynical and jaded and all of the above, and are research magnets of their own, that they're their own experts in a lot of ways. So for us, the basic way to do it was to tell individual stories and put a very personal face that looked like yours or the students in your school's faces and tell their stories. So I went around, so our idea was, and I have to say it was my idea. I thought it was good in the beginning, and then I realized I had to actually go on the bus. So I thought it would be great to travel like old school style on a bus and go to all these places, all these grant winners, and talk about these grant winners so that people could see that this was actually real. You know, like, oh my goodness, they got a check. They have a cheerleading squad for disadvantaged youth. It happened here. Okay, I'm off to the next spot. So for like a year, I traveled on this big bright blue bus across the country in some places that I, you know, didn't even know were on the map here in this big white country. And it was amazing to tell these stories, but what it really did was it created a connection, I think, with our audience that was real and authentic, and that they felt that this wasn't just a giant campaign that they themselves couldn't be a part of. That sure, you know, you can have companies apply or organizations, but could I, as an individual, as a 12-year-old, which was one of my first stories, in Moline, Iowa, I think it was, she had this idea that she wanted to take T-shirts that people had donated, just recycle T-shirts, and make them into shopping bags so that you wouldn't have to use plastic shopping bags. It was a very simple idea. And, you know, she won, I think, a $5,000 grant. I mean, to a 12-year-old, that's pretty much the end of the world. So, you know, seeing sort of her passion and how she started it, and then kind of seeing how the impact was in the real world, I think started to inspire young people to really join the program and to be inspired by the campaign. So that's one of the ways I think that one of the big takeaways, and constantly we tell people that you have to make this a personal endeavor. You know, you can't just tell them that there's a list of problems and then here's a list of solutions and then figure it out. You really have to show young people how these stories impact them on a daily and you know, personal basis. So that was one of the big stories that we worked on this past year.
Cool. I have the privilege of working with everyone from the Pepsis and the Chases of the world down to small individuals that are making a difference. A few fun stories that have crossed our horizon this year. There was actually a mayor in Connecticut that donated her kidney to someone who she met on Facebook because they had a friend in common. Wow. And the woman was on her deathbed on kidney failure, and her friend started a whole Facebook campaign to try to find a match. Wow. The mayor of the town actually registered, was a match, and donated her kidney. So that was amazing. I spoke to someone who right here in San Jose, California, who started a pay it forward campaign. The woman in front of her at the grocery store forgot her wallet. She paid for the woman's groceries. It came out to, I think, $93. This was a pretty big grocery shop, not just like a few things. But then she started this entire pay it forward campaign for charity and ended up raising $120,000 on Facebook. And then finally, one of my favorite recent examples is because I'm like 9 months pregnant and I want to eat everything in the universe. There were some Girl Scouts selling cookies, and they were using both Facebook and these little square devices.
Yeah.
Very enterprising Girl Scouts. I think they made about like $5,000 in one afternoon in front of the Facebook headquarters. Yeah. So just seeing so many amazing uses of technology, especially from young people.
Yeah. So down here, being the girl interacting with these like Facebook and MTV productions, I guess, I have to say that most of my inspiration actually now comes from MTV and Facebook and TV, because people my age sit in front of the TV a lot, which is actually now a good thing because they're being inspired by channels that promote giving back and philanthropy. That's how I know about UNICEF. A lot of my friends wanted to get involved with Girl Up because of Victoria Justice, who I know is on MTV a lot. So everything is kind of interworked, and us teens are like the spiders in the cobweb who like use everything to kind of navigate in this philanthropic world. Personal stories. Well, my friend found out about Girl Up through her family who was involved with it, and I feel like that's how a lot of people my age get involved too, is because of their families or their parents or mostly their mom. So yeah, it's a nice little circle.
I think what's interesting is, we're talking about technology and the tools of media and social networks, but there's always a human element to it. Yeah. There's a connection that's made at a grocery store, or a child is inspired by her family. You talked a bit about your mother and your friends. I think it's interesting to think about how nonprofits in particular are using online and offline activities to activate and drive participation. Girl Up does pep rallies and Girlifesto gatherings, as well as online engagement and event planning. I know Facebook has had town halls, which sort of take the idea of engaging around nothing but nets and things like that, and bringing it into a conversation that can include a lot more people because they're in remote locations. But it's still very much the stories being real and the connections that are made peer-to-peer and person-to-person that really tie all of this together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that I've encountered just in working with nonprofits and with foundations is a recognition that this stuff matters, but still quite a bit of confusion about how to actually make it work for them. I can't tell you how many nonprofits I know that say, well, I have a Facebook page, but it's not really doing anything for me. And I think there's a certain amount of sort of management and engagement that is that creates the authenticity that Soo Jin, you talked about. If it's not real and there's not integrity behind the relationship that's being built online, whether you're a teen advisor or a company or a nonprofit, things sort of fall apart. And I wonder if that's something that you've encountered.
Yeah, I mean, especially there's over 100,000 nonprofits on Facebook. There's, the excellent news is that there's 75 million people who are connected to a nonprofit. Each of those people has, on average, 150 friends. So there's really such a broad amount of people that you can connect with. But with 100,000 nonprofits on the site, if you are just creating a page and kind of letting it stay there stagnant, there's going to be another organization that's doing a lot more. So what I always talk to people about is kind of some easy tips and ways to make the most of your Facebook presence. I can go into those, or I can kind of let other people talk for a little bit if you want.
I want to hear what those
All
are.
right. So I have kind of like four tips that I always give. I know. I love the pens. The pens all come out. So the first one that I want to call out is called virality. Facebook allows you to tag. You can tag people in photos. You can tag people in messages. One of the coolest examples I saw was a local nonprofit who had a 5K and a 10K walk, and they actually took a photograph of every person who crossed the finish line, posted on their Facebook page, and then told all those people, go to our Facebook page and tag yourself. And the reason that actually is really cool is because then anyone who tags themselves, all their friends see it. It goes on their profile. It goes in newsfeed. So it was a really simple thing that they did. It just involved creating one photo album. Another thing that I like to talk about is video. There's so many easy, free technologies out there to do live streaming. We've actually worked with the UN Foundation, with Nothing But Nets, to actually host town halls around different things. It's really easy for you to get the head of your organization or anyone online to just answer questions. You could sit in a living room, you could sit right here, you could open up your laptop and just kind of host a 30, 60-minute discussion, open office hours almost. Those tend to work really well and get a lot of engagement within the community. The third thing I would suggest is insights. A lot of people, we actually provide really robust insights on your Facebook page, but very few people ever check them. You can see down to how many men and women are looking at your Facebook page, what age, what city they live in, what language they speak. We've had so many examples of organizations who all of a sudden see that they have a huge following in Argentina, and maybe they should start updating in Spanish as well. So there are definitely things that you can see there. And then finally, encouraging organizations to tap into either kind of like local celebrities or influencers, big donors you have, because those people also tend to have really big Facebook following as well, and getting them to post and kind of cross-reference. So those are my 4 tips.
Excellent. Well, I've been thinking in this sort of down economy for a lot of kids that are, thinking about graduation and career pathing, actually going into the nonprofit sector and providing these skills. They've spent so much time on social networks and, engaging in that space. They could provide, really valuable help to those organizations.
That's
and,
right.
and actually have jobs when they graduate.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a thought.